It's like a dream of mine to completely blow out and like have to restructure my knee.
We've communicated and said, you know what? Lion tastes good. Let's go get some more lion.
Cindy! The TV's leaking!
McLovin?
Yeah. Today is Thomas Cup's birthday, and this is Project X. Yo.
Hello, you are listening or watching or streaming Birdcore. I'm your host, Sam Bird. I'm here with my producer, Kit. Kit, how are you, sweetheart?
I'm doing great, Sam. Absolutely fantastic.
Love that. I love that. I'm just adjusting my levels here. Can you hear me okay in the headphones? I hope the audience can hear me okay. Send me a text if you can, if you have my phone number, or hit my line on Instagram at SamBirdUL or at Birdcore Show. We have a guest today. I have to admit, this was an emergency guest, last minute situation guest. We were lucky to be using the bathroom at the same time yesterday at school, and I said, "Hey, first of all, great stream. Second of all, do you want to come on Birdcore tomorrow? I need a guest." And my friend that we are joined with by today is none other than a writer-director in my improv class as well, THA 340. Shout out Gary, what's his last name?
West, man.
West, yeah,
come
Gary
on.
West.
That's so disrespectful.
I'm sorry. He also did stand-up at the age of 16, which I find very impressive. Ladies and gentlemen, Kirby Sloan.
Now, you'd find it impressive unless you heard the jokes I was telling. Then it would probably be less impressive. And also, I like how you start the show by basically saying that I was just a last-minute sub. I was like, you know what? We tried everybody else. I tried literally everyone I know, and it's only because I had a bigger horn than him that I was like, I feel comfortable bringing him on the show.
Yeah.
Which is fair. You do have a nice shaft, I will admit.
Appreciate that,
Very
man.
nice.
Thank you for. You really mean it, bro?
Yeah, I mean, you do low ride a lot when you pee.
Yeah.
Like, you're one of those kids that drops it to the ankles, but I admire that about you. That's confidence.
Thank you, man.
You know?
It took a lot. It took time. It took patience, but we're here.
10 seconds into the show, and I've already started talking.
Yeah, and we're going to wrap up here. Kirby, thanks for being here, man. Have you been in this studio before? Every time I have a guest in here, I remind them of how hot this studio is.
I was going to say, I'm very hot right now.
Yeah.
And this is my first time in here, and I wish I knew, because I dressed up for you. I don't know if the cameras can see, but I'm wearing the exact same pants I wore yesterday.
Yeah.
And they're some seriously heavy pants. And so my butt sweat is going to be off the charts.
That's okay. You got to embrace it.
Yeah.
And they're Roots pants, so they must be comfortable, heavy pants, right?
They're very comfortable.
Okay.
I will admit, they're very comfortable. And they do block the butt sweat. You don't notice it.
That's always a big fear of mine. When I'm wearing like gray sweatpants and I'm like sitting in a lecture for 3 hours,
Yeah.
and I stand up, I'm like, should I get someone to check? Like, is it dark gray now? I'm always scared about that, but usually it's fine.
See, I can't wear khakis anymore. I was golfing in khakis with my buddies, and it was like a pool back there. But
Oh my God.
But this is mostly my fault. I did shave my butt in high school, and the sweat has never been the same since. That's not a joke. It has seriously been a problem. Like, I cannot wear khakis anymore. They're very specific types I have to wear.
Oh, wow.
And like exclusively dry fit underwear as well.
Oh, absolutely.
Just to make sure.
Yeah.
You know? I'm sure this is not how you thought this episode would start, by me just admitting I shaved my butt, but
Well, you know what? I thought about that. No, I didn't have anything in mind of how it would start. I was just gonna kind of go with the flow. And
that's good to hear.
Yeah, my dad texted me. He listens to every episode, and I always kind of rely on him in the first few minutes to let me know if it's running smoothly or not. So he texted me and said the stream has frozen, but that's his. I don't think it really has. That
Does this have to do with the stream we were talking about to start the show, like your stream yesterday, or the stream for this episode?
Different stream for the episode.
You. Yeah, for sure.
I'm sure he'll be just fine. So I'm going to remember that next time I see you in khakis then, if I ever see you in khakis.
Probably not.
Really?
No, probably not. I actually wore them to improv one time, and I left a bit of a mark, and one of the kids in the class was like, "Why is the seat wet?" And I was standing at the back of the class like, I don't know what you're talking about. Why is the seat wet?
That seat is wet. Who
I was
did
like,
that?
what? This is so weird. It was like that when I sat down in it, and now
Guys, who did this? Somebody?
Yeah,
did someone
see?
spill their water?
Like, look at the
what?
repercussions of my actions. And
Yeah.
also, don't do it because if you do it to the woodwork, this is TMI, but it kind of grows in like your facial hair, so it gets really itchy, like rubs between.
Oh.
You know, yeah, wouldn't recommend it. You kind of walk very weird.
Good God, this is not how I anticipated the episode starting.
No, not
It's
at all.
good. No,
but
it's. I think it's loosened us up a little bit.
I like what you did there.
Yeah,
I like what
I
you
didn't
did
do
there.
anything. I
Yeah.
didn't do
No,
anything. You
no,
just
I saw
thought
what you did there.
No, I
yeah,
did.
yeah. That's
I didn't do
fine.
anything.
That's fine.
No. Oh man. So you, Kirby, I know you from my improv class. So right off the bat, I know that there is some. There's some performer kind of aspect to you a little bit. I mean, I could see it in the class. You're pretty gifted. You get the whole class cackling most of the
Says
time.
you, man. Come on.
Hey, we don't come
sell
here and
yourself
gas
short
me up.
here.
We don't,
No, we
we don't
gas
come
you
here to
up, of
gas me up,
course.
man. Okay, well, keep going then.
You got a killer British accent.
Well, now you're going to make me
Killer.
to do it.
I would love for you to do it. Actually, I would love for you to do it.
I feel like when I do a bit of a British accent, sometimes it turns into more like an Australian accent, like it is right now.
I was gonna say, I think it sounds a lot better when there's not a microphone recording it, because when you hear it like in really good audio, it does not sound as good.
No?
It was a lot better in person. Yeah, I shouldn't
thank
have
you, man.
outed you like that. I apologize.
That's okay.
That was my bad. But you were talking about me being a performer. I actually have no interest in acting at all. Funny enough.
So, yeah, like your interest, does it lie more in writing? Like you tell me a lot about writing, and then you're also a director. Like, is that where your main focus is?
Yeah, 100%. I actually took the improv class because I wanted to understand actors better, just as like a director. I was like, I got to understand what they're going through, because there are a lot of directors that can be, not great with actors, and I kind of prioritize acting over anything else. Like when I directed my movie, I was always in the room with the actors. I wasn't really by the monitor. But it's cool because now I'm thinking of, okay, this is the stuff I have to talk to them about, like what they look for, mannerisms, everything. So I know how to communicate better. And it's not even like directing to be like, all right, your character talks like this, walks like this, does this, does this. It's more of a conversation. I now realize you kind of got to work that out with an actor. Be like, okay, how do you think they act? What's their tics? And so this improv class has really helped with that. And it's also shown me that like I'm a one-note actor. I was telling my buddy, I'm like, you can play characters. I just play myself.
Right.
That's it. And so I don't want to like venture into acting. And then directing, I just do for ego. Because I'm like, I don't trust anybody with my writing. They're gonna mess it up.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I feel like that's why you see some writers who often do direct their own stuff. You look at Adam McKay. You look at sometimes Danny McBride, but I know Jody Hill does a lot of the directing for this stuff. Well, they kind of write it together. Elizabeth Banks as well. Like those are comedy writers and directors. So are you open to like working with different directors on work that you write, or do you really need to have that full control?
No, 100%. Because I love the writing more than I love the directing, to be honest. And there's sometimes like, if I'm really connected to a story, then I think I have to direct it. But I love the writing so much that I would just write a script. And if there's someone I trust, I'd be like, yeah, 100% do this. Like, this is great. And sometimes I know it won't be for me, and there's a better skill set. But if I feel connected to the actual writing, like a lot more so, then 100%. But I just love the writing, that if someone was like, hey, you want to write something for me, or I got this idea, what do you think? 100%. Because I just would love to write. And then especially working with people that are brilliant in a sense, like I would definitely trust them to see what they do, because it's interesting. But there are going to be some stories for sure that I'm like, okay, this has to be me.
Yeah. Where it's like your voice, you have to be the one.
Exactly.
So when did that kind of start? When did writing? How old are you?
I'm 20.
You're 20.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. I thought you were at least 28.
28?
No,
I
like
that
22.
old?
No, you don't. No. 22.
I was going to say, I can't even grow facial hair.
Yeah, I was going to say, are you doing Movember?
You know what? Again, to talk about funny, I did it last year. The problem is my hair grows in so blonde, I have to dye my mustache. And so I'm like I was constantly dyeing it last year. And then I was like, okay, is it really worth me dyeing my facial hair just to have like the worst mustache you've ever seen?
Do you have a picture of it?
No, because it still wasn't visible on camera.
Oh, man.
It'd be like one of those things people like, I could talk to them for 5 minutes and they'd go, wait a second, do you have a mustache? I'd be like, yes. Like,
we've been sitting at this table for an hour.
Yeah, and I'm like, okay, I guess you just noticed now. Good to know. And then I have to explain to them I dyed, and they go, well, you should have probably dyed it a little bit darker.
Yeah.
And then that's why this year I was like, you know what? I love men's mental health, but I don't need to be dyeing my facial hair all the time.
Fair enough.
right? Versus you have a great mustache.
Thank you. I'm doing my first Movember right now.
Can you do the handlebars?
I could do no, I don't know about handlebars. No, not really.
I have to mention though, yesterday you had a bit of a soul patch going, and you got rid of it.
I got rid of it. I was texting Kit earlier in the day, and I was at work. I was at the office, and usually I go from the office at 5 o'clock. I walk down to school for class at 6. I texted Kit at 3 o'clock, 3:30. I was like, man, I think the soul patch needs to go, and he was like, yeah, soul patch, it doesn't work. And I'm very, very impatient and impulsive, so I was like, I might leave early to go home and shave the soul patch before class, but that's stupid.
Of course,
wait till you get home after class. So yeah, I got home, and the first thing I walked in, Kit was playing Fortnite, and I went and I shaved the soul patch right away. I was like, it's not gonna happen.
I'm very disappointed. I thought it looked quite creepy.
Yeah,
it just looked creepy, and that's what I liked about it. I was like, you know what, Sam, good for you to walk down the street and be like, this soul patch, this doesn't make me look weird at all. You kind of had the confidence, and I was like, it does make you look weird. But I like that you were oblivious to it at the moment, and then you became too self-aware.
Yeah, thanks for showing your true colors, man.
Yeah, of course. I also have to say, anybody thinking of coming on the show as a guest absolutely should. You guys put me up in the best Motel 6. I mean, other than 10 channels with commercials, it sometimes has warm water.
Yeah.
And I was like, no way. I was like, how'd you guys know that sometimes I'm going to get warm water?
Yeah.
I was really impressed.
It's nice. It's kind of like a surprise, right?
Yeah.
You wake up, you're like, well, I could go I guess I could do a cold shower. It looks like I don't have a oh wait. Oh no, it's kind of lukewarm. Oh, okay. Oh no, it's cold again.
And then you kind of switch, but it keeps you on your toes.
Yeah.
And that's good, and as an improviser, I guess you kind of were thinking it's good for him to improvise with the temperatures.
Absolutely.
Which is nice. And, the bed made me a little bit itchy, but again, keep me on my toes.
Yeah.
Right? It's very good.
Yeah, you don't have that many spots on you from the bed, it seems.
Surprisingly
not too many bites.
not.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Thank you for cooperating. I know it was, like I said, short turnaround.
Yeah, everyone else said no.
Yeah.
So I'm very glad I could be here.
Exactly. Yeah. So you also did stand-up at 16 years old.
16 to 18, yeah.
16 to 18. That is, dude, I get scared of I've always thought about doing stand-up. I get scared of thinking about doing stand-up now as a 24-year-old. I'm like, oh man, I know I should just go and just do it. But still, there's that worry of bombing on stage. What was it like for you as a 16-year-old to get up there and do it?
You know what? I wasn't that nervous the first time. I kind of got thrown into it. I had been talking. I was like, oh, eventually I want to do stand-up. Eventually, that was my goal. And then my buddy was a barber and was giving me a haircut. And one of the other barbers was like, hey, I hear you want to do stand-up. I do stand-up. I got a spot on Tuesday. It's by your house. Come do it.
Wait, so the other barber knew where you lived?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I got doxxed, actually.
Okay.
So, yeah, he knew exactly where I lived in my area, and was like, come do it.
Okay.
So I did it, kind of no hesitation, wrote my material in about a week, and I didn't bomb. And so I was kind of like, oh, maybe there's something to this. And then right away, I didn't get nervous. And I thought as long as I was confident, then I'd be good. And I think that's where my improv skills come from, was I loved crowd work. That was always something that was really fun. But it was a little bit depressing. I think that's kind of why I switched into film. I mean, could you imagine being in a dive bar with 4 people and you're 16 years old, never even been to a bar, period.
Yeah, true.
And now in front of 4 people.
Yeah.
And I got heckled a little bit when I was young. People were like, aren't you a little too young to be here? And I was like, bro, you're alone drinking a happy hour PBR.
Yeah, it's Wednesday.
At this dive bar.
Yeah.
You want to judge my life?
Yeah.
I know I have a problem, but so do you.
Yeah.
Right? And then I ended up getting paid for it, and I got to do some club shows. And it was a lot of fun at the time. I mean, I had some good jokes, but it was really the crowd work that was fun. And then COVID kind of came around. Online shows weren't fun. And then it kind of pivoted to outside. And then I was like, hey, this is getting really depressing. And then you start to see, I did a show in Hamilton, and it looked like I could start to go on the road with some comedians. And I was like, I can't do this. I'd be so alone. There's no real commodity. Imagine I'm just in a hotel room alone, right, traveling alone. And I was like, there's got to be more than, and comedians don't really support each other as much. If a 16-year-old is doing a spot at a show that you wanted, you're going to think, why is he getting it over me?
Okay, yeah, true.
Right? And so there was never that sort of commodity. And my love always actually came from comedy movies. I realized when I was young, I snuck in 2016, I snuck into every rated R comedy in theaters I could see. You name it, I saw it. The Nice Guys, which had so many boobies in it, and it was awesome. I remember my buddy and I used to look at like the IMDb parent advisory, and if there was nudity, we're going to this. And we went to see the movie Pop Star, and it was just one penis, and we were like, that was the nudity. That was it. It was very disappointing. And I used to like hide my iPad under my bed and watch rated R comedies, and that was where. And then I was like, no one's doing comedy movies anymore. I'm like, what happened to this genre? Like, it was just gone.
Yeah.
And now we were just talking outside. There's, the new movie Bottoms is like one of the only ones that's come out recently that's actually funny.
I really, really enjoyed that movie. Yeah.
Yeah, that was hilarious. I mean, a lot of them now, bit of an embarrassing story. I'm a big TIFF guy. I love going to TIFF.
That's not embarrassing. I worked at TIFF this past year.
No, that's not the embarrassing part.
Okay.
The embarrassing part was between classes, I was like, I'll go see a movie. I just had a bunch of time. There's a movie called Fitting In. I didn't look up what it was about.
Okay.
I was like, this is a, coming of age comedy. I was like, this is great. So I rushed, which means like I waited in line for an hour.
Yeah.
Got a ticket by myself, sat in the theater. The movie starts. It's about a woman who doesn't have a full vaginal canal.
Yeah.
And here I am, as a dude, sitting alone in a theater full of women, watching a movie about a girl's vagina. And I'm thinking, everybody here thinks I'm a creep. Like 100%. They're talking about how to dilate a vagina.
Yeah,
I'm just sitting there like, oh my goodness, when the lights come up, I'm going to look so bad.
Put your hood on.
Yep. And I was just by myself, too, like kind of no excuse. And I couldn't imagine what the people were thinking when I was rushing, waiting an hour to see this movie. They're probably thinking, like, he really wants to see this. This guy really wants to see this movie.
What's wrong with this dude?
I don't know what I was thinking. I should have looked and Fitting In. I should have put 2 and 2 together. But I actually quite enjoyed it otherwise. I think it had some good messages in it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which was nice. Like, I didn't know how many men are gynecologists.
Oh, it looks like too many.
A lot.
It's,
right?
yeah.
Which, not that I'm going to switch professions now, but
You're going to go to med school now?
no, I could not go to med
This
school.
one movie inspired me to be a gynecologist. The movie was okay, but being a gynecologist, I mean,
Such a man's profession.
Yeah.
Such a manly, profession to do.
this is what I thought we'd be talking about.
More of this stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, see, I don't know. Comedy was always something that I loved. And then I guess later on, I kind of realized in school that it didn't click to me until like grade 10, where I was like, oh, I really enjoy doing this.
Yeah.
But then my mom kind of put the dots together that I kind of always was a loudmouth in class. Apparently in grade 2, my parents took me to Vegas just because we just went to Vegas
Apparently,
to hang out.
you don't remember?
Like, no, we did. I think it was
Oh.
grade 2. And apparently I came back and told my teachers, like, how was Vegas? And I was like, it was great, but all my mom did was drink martinis and gamble. And my mom told me, she was like, first of all, I've never had a martini in my life. And second of all, I didn't gamble at all. I was with you guys. Yeah. And so I was thinking, what kind of meta child would I have to be in grade 2? Like, it would be so funny if I lied to my teacher that my mom's an alcoholic gambling addict.
Oh, man. Dude, you did the whole opposite of what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas.
I know. I didn't even know the rule.
Oh, teacher, let me tell you this day, and then we did all this, and then this and this and that, and then this, and then gambling.
And then strip club and, and started going, oh, this young child. And yeah, so I guess I was always like that. My grade 5 teacher used to like draw a line for me and then cross it and be like, this is what you're doing. You're crossing the line. Because I also, the nicest kid. I was in a gifted program, so every kid was really nice.
Yeah.
And there's this one kid, nicest dude ever. I have to say this because I'm the bad guy in this story. Would have pencil shavings on his desk one time, and I was like, oh my God. Like, this guy's doing hash. First of all, how a grade 4 me knew what hash was, I still don't know to this day.
Yeah.
Like, it makes no sense to me. And then this poor guy, and everyone was like, oh, he does hash. None of us really knowing what hash was. And I was just spreading this rumor in grade 4.
Yeah.
What a horrible kid I was. Like, that's terrible.
But that's peak like elementary stuff. Like, I remember in grade 4, it used to be, or back then, people would come up to me and be like, are you a virgin? And I'm like, I don't know what a virgin is. I'd be like, no. They'd be like, haha, he's not a virgin. You know what I mean? Like, it was those kinds of jokes.
I thought it's the opposite then, though. It's more of, it's bad that you weren't a virgin. They're making fun of you for not being a virgin.
Yeah.
What a loser.
Yeah. Oh,
What a
man.
terrible guy.
Yeah.
Now you would kill for that. Yeah, I also spread a rumor that a guy in my class loved RedTube.
Oh, God, really? Was this still in grade 4?
This was grade 5, I think. I think I'd moved on from the hash to RedTube.
Wow, but the fact that you knew that, like, even that is a little...
I know,
that's
pretty
something.
dicey. But this is what happens when
Lord.
you grow up with unrestricted internet access, and then I'm going, to watch all these comedies.
Fair enough. Do you have older siblings?
Yeah, I got one who's in the program as well.
Yeah.
Same as me. He's more into music, though.
But wasn't like he wasn't any sort of like influence and all that?
I would say no. We were into different things. He's gay, so we kind of
Okay.
had different interests at the time. Like, I think,
I hear you loud and clear.
he would watch like Monster High, and then I was online watching, all those random movies.
Yeah.
It's like, what has the most boobies in
Yeah,
it?
yeah,
What can I
yeah.
watch that has all the boobies?
Right.
Right. So, but he's very funny. He's actually funnier than I am. So I think I was always trying to keep up with him.
Yeah.
And his jokes, like he was always making my family laugh. And I was like, man, if he can do it, like obviously I can do it.
Wait, write that down. What did he say?
Right? What? Oh, I'm taking that to school tomorrow.
Yeah,
They'll
yeah.
have no idea it wasn't him that wrote it. So I think he was my first ghost writer.
Did he help you write anything? Like, would you ever cast him in something?
Absolutely.
Yeah?
Yeah, absolutely. If he was into it, I think 100% he would be a great character. He'd be a great villain just because he's my brother. I'd want my brothers to play villains so they can be terrible people. I'd be like, look at my siblings. I'm the good one.
Yeah.
As the middle child, I was always getting blamed for everything. So now I can kind of pass the blame off.
Are you the middle child?
I am the middle child.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Is the middle child, is the rumor true where like the middle child is the like the bad one?
yeah, well, I think for me the way it was always my older brother. He's too mature to be doing that, and the younger one's he's too young to be doing that. So it has to be you.
Yeah.
Right. Like has to be me in the middle. Like what? How is
Yeah.
it me? Even though it probably was me a lot of the time.
Oh, fair enough. So you're trying to shift the blame, but in the end it was you. So I'm trying to fix my
me.
microphone. This damn
I like
thing.
the squeak.
Yeah, I have to like almost turn off the mic when I move it. Kit, does it look okay in the camera? Yeah. It's funny. Kit is he like last week leaving, he was like, oh man, I love the cameras, and I had this up and there was this angle, and I tried playing with this, and I always tell Kit, I'm like, dude, you're welcome to say something. Like if you have any questions, just chime on in, dude. Don't be shy.
I know. I was gonna say, Kit, I haven't heard much from you, and I haven't been able to tell you to pull anything up yet. I can't be like, Kit, pull that up. Pull that up.
I'm on clock,
nothing.
Kirby. This isn't a joke to me. This is work, all right?
This is my profession, actually.
You know it's not a joke because when he's talking, he doesn't put the camera on himself.
Really? Not at all?
I don't think so. Is there any that's set up for you?
There's none that's set up for me right now.
He's just a voice.
Dang, he's our voice of God.
Yeah.
At this point, he's gonna give us all the information. You know what I thought the show was called Birdcore? I almost prepared a bunch of bird facts so I could like keep up, and then I realized you guys don't talk about birds.
Nope.
Like not at all.
It's because it's my name.
Which then I later realized I was like, oh, that's it.
Yeah.
He's just not into birds.
No. But
crazy.
you're not the first person who said that.
Probably not. I'm not very original, so I wouldn't be surprised.
I would say you're original. I saw your movie.
Oh, yeah, okay. So for context, I gave you guys an advanced screening. Should be coming out next month.
thank
Release
you.
date coming out soon. And you said that you somewhat liked it. That was the response.
Whoa. I never said somewhat. I very
gotta
much
downplay it.
enjoyed it.
Oh, see, I'm very happy to hear that.
Dude, for when did you write that?
18. I made that when I was 18.
You wrote that when you were 18 years old.
Yeah.
Throughout the last 2 years, I'm sure you went through a lot of the pre-production phases. You went into the production phases.
Mm-hmm.
You did the work of getting a whole team to not only shoot it but edit it. You had someone work on casting. You had all the extras. You did like in the credits, you have full-blown like little drawings that are related to the movie. Like the effort is very, very much there.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the first thing that we said, my team and I, when we started doing it, was we're not just going to make like a student film. Like this is going to be so legit, because my interest is, let's be honest, okay? When was the last time you guys were, getting ready for bed or whatever, and you're like, I'm going to watch a short film tonight. I'm very excited to watch a short. If you do, then I just sound like a terrible person right now. But my interest was always in making a feature film. So I was like, if we do something that is so high quality and at such a high level, maybe someone will let me do that.
You're right.
Right? Or maybe we can find a way to do that. So that was always our mindset, was this has to look as Hollywood as possible. And a lot of that, I mean, I can't take credit for a lot of that. I mean, shout out, I know he's listening, my editor, Dante, also casted the movie.
Dante.
Brilliant man. And just, I remember I was talking to people in my program or any other filmmakers, and they're always like, just so you know, no one's ever going to care about your movie as much as you. And I found that to never be true at all. I think people take such an interest to it, and it becomes, if you work as a team, it becomes a team. I mean, you hire people for their opinions.
Yeah.
Let them do that work. And by trusting people, I think, I get there. I knew it was my first movie, so you're hiring people to do their thing, and I can learn off them. Like hiring an art department, I learned so much to how you guys were talking before. Like the movie looked so good, and the lighting is brilliant. Like it was very well done, but the art as well, like production design, really takes it to another level as well. And so we were just always finding ways to bring it to that next level. And the extras, I'll be honest, I mean, my lead actor, popular in high school. So he just got a bunch of people who were like, oh, come on out. And it kind of worked out.
Yeah. And
so
that was the guy who played Leo?
Yeah, Leo.
Okay,
so
nice.
shout out Luke. Shout out Luke DeFranco. Great guy. Not really.
No,
but
not
sort of.
really a great guy? Or not really shout out Luke DeFranco?
No, not really shout him out. I don't think he deserves a shout out.
Okay.
But we love him.
We take it back, Luke.
Yeah, Luke, sorry.
Yeah.
Not really shouting you out. But yeah, that was just a great process. And to do it over a year, like we edited for so long. Guys would come over to my house at 9 in the morning and we'd edit till 2 in the morning.
Wow.
And then they'd go home, rinse and repeat.
Yeah.
Like we literally lived with each other. The amount of farts that I smelt from those guys is insane. Like I should not be able to smell a fart and go, oh, that was Dante.
Yeah.
Like that just smells like his fart. So
Yeah.
potent.
That's too much time together.
Exactly. Way too much time together.
Yeah.
But yeah, putting together a movie was honestly just such an experience, and getting to premiere it in front of friends and family and anybody that wants to see it. It was awesome. It was a
Yeah.
great experience. And so I'm very excited to hopefully make a feature next. Just need money. So if you're listening, give me money, please.
If you want to produce Kirby's feature.
Yeah, please give me money.
Yeah.
I need money.
Telefilm if you're listening.
Anybody CMF,
Yeah.
anything, please help me out.
That's the hardest part of it, man, is like looking online and looking at all these grants and these different applying for funding and okay, but if you want 200,000, you need to meet this, this, and this. Oh, if you want 225,000, you need to also meet this, this, and this. It's a lot. It's pretty cuckoo bananas.
Yeah. And a lot of the time, like, as well, like, I think it's Telefilm is like your production company has to be incorporated to get the feature film. And I was like, okay, I can incorporate it. And then I learned that, like, when I incorporate my production company, even if I don't use it, I have to pay taxes on it forever.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
And so what we've done is with the premiere tickets we sold, we've used that to buy our own equipment, our own cinema camera. And so hopefully we can make stuff at, our own hands and not have to give away control yet.
Yeah.
Especially with comedy, if I want to be able to do something like the old comedies, you don't want too many people being like, you got to change this joke. Man, I mean, look
Yeah.
how we opened the show. I started talking about my butt sweat right
Yeah.
away. I think, a producer would be like, you can't say that, or
Yeah.
anything.
Yeah. Well, that's why a lot of them like, well, when you like bring a script to a production company, they'll have like their whole team of readers like look over it and be like, okay, maybe we're going to change this, or maybe have them rework that. And I've noticed that working for a company that is like heavily involved in film is people will bring us these scripts, and then a lot of the time if they want us to produce something, we'll kind of have our say at the script. So I guess that's why it's tricky for comedy when it's something that is so much your idea, you don't want someone else to change it all that much. I'm sure that's for every genre. And I think that's part of what's difficult about actually making it, like taking that next step in the industry, is when you give your work to somebody, they give their feedback, and then you can be on the same page about it. As opposed to like it's A versus B, you got to come to C. You know what I mean?
Well, that's the biggest fear in going into features. With short films, you're never making your money back. You're not going to make any money. So it's not that big of a deal. Versus if you go to feature, there's a lot of money involved, right? And there's an opportunity to make money. So I actually understand why a production company would want to make changes.
Yeah.
Because there is legitimate money at stake. And if they're giving me money and they want to make money off of it, so I can understand. But that's the difficult part, is now it's like, okay, how do I, do both? How do I satisfy a production company while also, satisfying myself? And so that's why I think the first draft is the most important, at least understanding character. And then you can kind of find your way through there. But if anybody's listening, again, I'll make any changes you want. Just give me the money at this point.
Yeah. Well, we have about 3 million listeners, I think, per episode. Yeah, 3 million. It's probably jumped to like 4 by this week.
I'm not surprised. I think we'd get 5 if Kit would talk more. I'm telling you.
Yeah,
that's the missing piece.
Kit, just say one thing.
Kit, what did you think of the movie, actually?
Yeah.
I know you saw it.
I thought the movie was really good, really funny, refreshing, especially because comedy movies are really dry now. And I thought the acting was really, really well.
That's an awesome comment. I love my actors, so shout out to my actors. Also, another reason I'm taking improv, I want to meet more actors like yourself, be able to expand that horizon and go into it. Yeah, I mean, I hope comedy can come back. Like, I just hope Bottoms was a great example of you can still do comedy today and make it. And that's why I just think it might be indie is the way to go.
I think
right?
so,
like,
yeah.
It will be tough to have a studio approve a comedy now just because of the culture. But I love indie film. I mean, to me, I was always like, it'd be so hard to make a movie. And now you realize how easy it is. Like, I don't know if you know the movie Tangerine was shot all on iPhones. Like, it's just so easy now.
Tangerine.
If you're smart. It's about prostitutes in L.A.
Oh.
Don't ask why I know about it, but I just thought it was so cool.
Well,
They
I
made it
mean,
with
given
all
what you were
iPhones.
saying before, it sounds exactly like the kind of thing you'd be watching.
What has all the boobies?
Does it have breasts?
I haven't seen it.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
Talking about this movie I haven't seen.
But you look at indie films, like you look at, dude, like look at A24 and what they've done with the indie film landscape. They're bringing all sorts of different unique stories to the forefront, and compare it to. I feel like I've heard a lot of people say big studios like Marvel is kind of on the decline a little bit. So indie film definitely, and with all these film festivals, like I didn't realize how big TIFF really is until I was in the middle of it. And I was like, wow, this is actually an incredible opportunity for these young, aspiring filmmakers or experienced filmmakers to showcase more of their work and their ideas. And it was it's really like the last like few months, I'd say, is when I really, really got more educated, I'd say, on the film industry and more curious. Not just like, oh, I really want to work it there one day, but man, like I want to know more. I have so many questions. There's so much that I want to learn. And going back to what you were saying about working with people who, like, you were telling me yesterday, your DOP, like you learned so much from your DOP just based off like, oh, the light should reflect off of there. And the stuff that you wouldn't even think of.
No, never. It takes such a specific mind.
Yeah.
For them to like walk in, I'm like, okay, I'm thinking of this camera movement.
Yeah.
And he can just go, great. Okay, so that means we need the light here, 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 and here. And I'm standing there going, how do you know that?
Yeah.
But in the same way that I enjoy directing in the sense of it's a puzzle in terms of your coverage, right? How do you get the best out of this scene? And in comedy, it's hard because how can you capture the joke the best in this moment? And that's the most I learned from the short film is now I know the style I like.
Yeah.
And to advance it, because I've always had a problem with how comedy movies are directed, because I think a lot of the time they don't get the same care that other ones do in terms of how they're carefully crafted. A lot of the time they're shot with multiple cameras. They'll have one camera and a wide, and then it's like, okay, we got a camera picking up this solo shot, this shot here. And it just is clearly all multi-camera, and it's not as purposeful. Versus you watch a movie like Seven, and the composition, the way it's crafted, it makes you gives you a feeling on purpose. And so I think that that's really interesting in the sense of like, if I want to do something that's like a satire at one point, but I want to shoot it super dramatically. But everything that's going on is jokes, but the whole composition is creepy, and it's actually properly insanely lit, insanely dark. But everything that's going on is silly. Like American Vandal on Netflix is one of those things that blew my mind. Where I was like, you can make a whole movie about spray painting penises, right, as a docu-series.
Yeah.
But it's so intense, like a Netflix doc. Like everyone wants to know who did this, and this guy's trying to clear his name, and I loved that. And I was like, I don't know why comedy movies aren't directed like that more.
Yeah. Did Jimmy Tatro write that? He was in that,
He was
wasn't
in it. Yeah, he was in the first season.
It's
the one with.
Oh, is it a? Oh, sorry, I haven't seen it. Is it a series?
Yeah, they did 2 seasons. So the second one, a guy puts laxatives in the school, and everyone like poos their pants for a full day.
I think I know about that one. Yeah.
Yeah, and so it's awesome, and I love. And then it got canceled, obviously, but it was hilarious, and so that kind of changed my mind about how comedy can be done, and I really started to put 2 and 2 together. I think that The Hangover is my favorite movie of all time, and if you watch it, it's not shot with multiple cameras. And it's one comedy I can legitimately say is carefully crafted in their shots. They have beautiful shots, but shots that actually, mean something. And it's really beautiful. And I think that's been a huge influence on how I did. I mean, we were talking outside about Bake Sale.
Yeah.
It's not like really bright. It's not, you could say the comedy is mostly lit pretty basically, right? Like it's just sort of as long as we see their faces, a lot of bright lights in rooms.
Yeah.
And it's not. We kind of gave a style to it.
Yeah,
where
there
the
was
frat is really
colors
dungeon.
all over.
Yeah, and it's a lot of different colors.
Yeah.
So that was, my intention going into it, and now I've learned so much since then, and hopefully get to change that over time.
And your plan in order to change that over time is you're using your film Bake Sale as a proof of concept.
Yeah.
Of like, look what I can do. Give me all your money.
Yep.
And let me make something that's an hour and a half like this.
Exactly.
Right.
And being able to also, like I was telling you, I think my writing has got a lot better. So now I can show, okay, here's what I, did when I was 18 and can do.
Yeah.
Now you see this script. This script is a lot funnier. So now imagine what I can do.
Yeah.
If you give me money.
Yeah.
If you give me money, I can do something a lot better.
What is your writing process like? Do you develop the characters first? Do you have your idea of a story first? Do you just kind of start writing a beat sheet? Like how does it start?
I don't like a beat sheet. At first, when I was learning writing, beat sheet was very important. It's like you got to outline.
Yeah.
But now I like to come up with my story first, and then I kind of find characters that can work in the sort of world I intend to build. And what's great about the feature I've been writing is I've had so much time to think about it that I don't have to just sit down and, force myself to come up with ideas, as I'm naturally building ideas through time. And then you can slowly inject them into a story. And now what I find is to discover a character, you can sit there and kind of write out a scene. But I typically try and write about 3 pages longer than the scene should be, just so I can have the characters ramble. The more I'm talking as the characters, the more I can understand, what they really are like and what this scene really is. If I'm just having them ramble with each other, be like, okay, this is making sense to me now. This is the scene, and you kind of pick your in and out in that scene. So if I'm doing a minute scene and then I have 5 pages, which is like 5 minutes, I can find the in and out. What is funny about this scene? And what's the moment? And now I found that character is the most important for comedy, is finding characters that are like hilarious. Yeah. And then you can kind of build the world around that.
Yeah.
Which has been a lot of fun. The problem with writing, though, is it's tough. But you need a lot of alone time, right? And so sitting in a room, you could drive yourself crazy. You just got to find ways to enjoy it. And that's why I kind of just enjoyed having characters talk in my head. And you could imagine how mad I seem just sitting in a room, dead quiet, and I'll just go, right? Like, just randomly, I'm like, that's funny. Yeah. And I can't turn it and be like, is this funny? It's where it's like, that's funny.
Well, you can ask yourself, you can ask one of your characters internally if it's funny, and then the character from the other side of your brain can answer you.
Most of my characters just tell me to shut up.
True.
Like, what do you think? And they'll be like, no.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, little man. And I hope they don't stick around and I just have voices now talking in my head all the time.
Yeah, that would be a psychological issue at that point.
So you're saying I should get it checked out then, because I do. Yeah.
If it occurs.
They don't stop talking. Yeah. One of them is telling me to just launch myself across the table at you right now.
Really?
I'm saying, don't do it.
Well, you have 10 minutes. You can do it before.
We only got 10 minutes.
Dude, yeah, we have 9.5 minutes left. This stuff goes by fast.
I was going to say.
It's cray-cray.
I must have been rambling a lot. I apologize.
Well, it's okay. You were saying rambling is how you get things done. Rambling is how you perfect it, so.
Well, I mean, that's also what I'm learning in improv.
Yeah.
As you notice, is when we've been working a lot on creating characters, it's just rambling.
Absolutely.
You kind of find your character through there. I mean, what's your process like? Because I know you write as well, you act as well. What's yours like in terms of writing and finding character?
I've really only written one serious script, and in terms of that, it was through Beat Sheet. Like we already had our tagline. We knew what the story was. Like we had the log line. It was all there. And then it was about setting up the episode. It was, I wrote it with Kit, and we kind of split the work. Kit is very much, he writes on his own. He knows how he wants his characters to speak to each other. He knows the tone he wants to give them, but he needs to write that on his own. Mm-hmm. So it's easier for him to do that as opposed to have me there being like, what if they said this? What if they said that? Kit, like that's how he works. I also noticed that my strength lies there. While we were doing the majority of the writing, we were in a group, but I was just kind of locked in and I was writing I knew what I wanted to say, and I didn't want to hear everybody else's input. I was like, no, this is how I see this. But I'm very character driven first, I think. Mm-hmm. I wrote like another outline for another project I want to do later down the line. And I wrote out the characters first. I established, okay, this is the story, A, B, and C, and these are the characters that are in it. And this character is like this. This character is like this. That character is like that. This character is like this, but isn't in every episode. So it's kind of all over the place. In terms of writing like shorter stuff, like I do a few like sketches, and that is a lot less scripted. That's kind of just, that's more improvised.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Like some of the stuff I'll post on my own Instagram or my TikTok that's like much lower production value is just stuff where I have this idea for a TikTok. I'm like, okay, I'll record this character saying this, and then, okay, I'm recording this character saying that. That's really just kind of off the dome.
Which there's so much magic in that. And that's what I found directing was telling the actors, listen, like I know that you have this script that you've been memorizing in my lines, but have fun with it. Like you have to sort of, especially in comedy, they have to have a moment where you can just sort of like snap into it. You realize the character. And sometimes that's the magic. And what you're doing is it's sort of like, here's the idea. Now let's just have fun with it. Like, let's figure it out.
Yeah.
What is it exactly?
And that's what makes people such good actors, I think, is like knowing to not be confined into, well, this is what the script says. This is what I have to say. If you can understand what the character is going to be like, and you know the character. Well, maybe the character would also say this. Try it out. And I'm sure that there were improvised lines in your film. I'm sure that some of the actors were just like, oh, I'm also going to add this in there, and it worked.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
there's a time in the movie, I won't say when, but two of the characters kiss. And that was sort of improvised.
that part made me laugh.
What the actors didn't realize, he was like, what if I just kiss him? And I was like, that's great, do it. And then I'm like, afterwards, I'm like, just so you know, obviously this is film, so you don't have to do that about 4 more times, right? Like we're gonna do and he's like, oh, I don't just like kiss him and finish. I'm like, no, you're basically gonna be like making out with him now.
Yeah.
So we're gonna do it 3 more times. And I think the kissing just got better and better. And then at the end, I was like, so are you guys together now?
Yeah.
Or like, how do you not fall in love with each other?
At one point, kid asked that, he's like, are they dating?
Right? Like, you just see them sort of fall in love all of a sudden. And that's what people forget about, film versus TV is once you commit to an idea, you now got to do it 4 or 5 more times.
Yeah. Yeah, that's how it works.
Right? And I mean, film is also tough because you don't have a lot of time. At the beginning of the movie, I'll just say there's like a peeing scene. And we were trying to figure out logistically how to do that.
Yeah.
And so the actor had a Gatorade bottle in his pants to start, and it just wasn't working well. We couldn't get the camera in. You could sort of see it. And then our AD was so quick. He was like, we got to be on time, always, kind of telling me things. And so we're like, okay, we got to switch the bottle. Like, we're going to get a plastic bag, cut it, he can squeeze it out of that. So the actor takes it out of his pants, and the AD's like, give it to me. Like, we got to switch it. And he's like, just so you know, like, this has been all over my shaft, balls, everything.
Yes,
and the AD
genitals.
just goes, there's no time. And like grabs it out of his hand.
Damn.
And just like walks out of the room. And the actor's saying, they're like, yeah, fair enough. Like, I guess not.
Yeah.
Which, again, just magic of improv. I'm just sort of standing there like, okay, I guess we're rolling now. Let's go.
Yeah. Yeah. Did someone check on that aid? Did he wash his hands?
I have no idea. I don't know what else he touched after that. But, out of sight, out of mind.
Wow.
Don't really need to know.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It probably keeps you up at night sometimes, though.
Sometimes. Yeah, sometimes. I mean, we were in a frat house, so everything was gross.
Yeah.
Everything was hot.
And you shot that over 3 days, right?
Yeah, very condensed.
It looked so... I was like, did they shoot this all in one night? Because it just looked that way.
Yeah, luckily. I mean, that was a big thing in terms of budget, where I was like, this has to take place not only in one place, but one night. So then we don't have to change clothes or have to worry about shooting out of order. We're going to have to shoot at different times in the day. And it was always just, okay, we can just black out the house. It's at night.
Yeah.
And the lighting doesn't change. And then obviously we just shot the outdoor stuff actually at night.
Yeah,
and that
of
allowed
course.
us to shoot throughout the day. But that's the other thing, especially when shooting indie film, is you have to think budgetary as you write. But I find there's so much magic in that. I mean, you were saying earlier with Marvel movies, my problem with film now is not that there's Marvel movies or anything. There's not enough stories about real people, like actual people doing everyday things. There's so much humor in that.
Yeah.
And just like everyday activities. And now we're not making those movies, right? It's all, oh, everybody's a superhero. Or even comedies now are mostly action comedies. I'm like, you don't need the
that's
action.
true. Yeah.
Right? Like, let's just do a regular comedy about some regular people in a weird situation.
I want to see a comedy about an electrician who's late for his shift as a bartender and hits someone with a car.
But there's humor in that,
Yeah.
right? Like, Office Space is hilarious, and it's literally just about a guy silently quitting his job, like quiet quitting. Which, if I pitched that to you, you'd be like, yeah, you're going to put me to bed.
Yeah.
But there's humor in that, and relatable humor as well. Why Seinfeld was successful, or Curb Your Enthusiasm is one of my favorites, just because there's so many things that every day that can annoy someone, and you just don't say anything.
And that's why the writing is so crucial.
Yeah.
That's why it has to be like writing and rewriting and rewriting and rewriting. And you got to cut out a joke that you're in love with. You know what I mean? It's tough.
Which hurts
Yeah.
a lot of the time. It really does hurt when you're sitting and you're like, it has
It has to go. Yeah.
And you sort of lose that, especially in editing. That was the hardest part, where there's so many moments we were trying to put in, and you just have to let go of something that's really good sometimes, and no one's ever going to know.
Yeah.
Right? It's tough, but it's where the fun is. It's a lot of fun doing comedy, and I think
It's a challenge.
finding it. Oh yeah, but it just gets better, and that's why I'm so happy now. I feel like I found my voice in writing a lot more, and there's just so much magic to come. Just so magical.
Yeah.
You know? Just such a magical experience. Like, it's like going to Disney World every day. I love it.
Wow. And you're young, so you'll only get more experience and more...
Only more
you know,
depressed.
well, yeah.
is what you
more
mean.
depressed,
Yeah, I'm a little bit too excited about what's to come.
Yeah.
Versus, I'm actually going to go try and make this feature, and everyone's gonna be like, no.
Yeah. Well, no, you're gonna hear a lot of no's before you hear one yes.
Which is also the magic in it, because then you just, I think once someone says no, I go, I have something.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because if someone says yes right away, you go, why?
Yeah.
That was a little too easy.
Yeah,
Do you
that's true,
not
yeah.
care about
Yeah,
it?
that's a good way to look at it.
right? It's almost like, are you desperate for something? Like, why aren't you
Yes,
saying
yes, we'll
no?
take it, yes.
And then you're like, oh my goodness, why?
Let's
Is it-
start tomorrow.
Yeah, and you're like, oh, okay. There's too many yeses, and then the no's will make you work harder as well in terms of rewrites. Like, we had a cinematographer turn down doing the movie, and I was like, okay, well then what if I just made it better? And now you're gonna feel like you're missing out,
Yeah.
right? And you kind of have to have a negative mindset in that sense. I'm gonna prove you wrong.
Yeah. Or you prove yourself right.
Exactly, that too.
Yeah.
If you want to prove yourself right. If you're egotistical like you, me personally,
Yes.
I'm none of that.
Yes.
Right? Like Kid, I know it's a huge ego. I mean, just won't stop talking.
It's ridiculous.
The whole
yeah.
time.
Yeah. It's honestly, it's gotten to the point where I might have to fire him.
I know. I mean, for a producer, like, you're supposed to really not say anything, and Kid just rambles and rambles. Oh,
Yeah.
the cameras.
Yeah, he doesn't shut up.
Yeah.
Well, dude, we have about 45 seconds left. So,
Hey, thanks for having me on.
dude, thank you for. I'm so glad that we were peeing at the same time yesterday.
That was awesome. What great timing.
It's great.
Great timing. You
Yeah.
had a great stream.
Thank you, man.
Of course.
It was clear. It was not yellow. You know, I was
Championship
hydrated.
level. Yeah, championship level
Yeah.
P.
I think my mother's listening to this right now.
Oh, I'm so sorry then. I've
okay.
not said some great things.
No, it's okay. It's inspiring. All right. Well, Kirby Sloan, thank you for coming in, brother. We appreciate it. I'll see you in improv class next week. I'll see you in about 15 seconds when we're out of the studio.
I was going to say, I'm still here.
Yeah. All right, folks. This is Sam Bird, Birdcore. We will see you next week on Spirit Live at 5 o'clock. I love you. I love you, Kirby.
I love you.
Oh,
so cute. You look so cute right now.
Oh, come on.
Look at you.
Okay.
And you too, Kid.
Okay.
It's like a dream of mine is to completely blow out and like have to restructure my knee.
We've communicated and said, you know what? Lion tastes good. Let's go get some more lion.
Cindy! The TV's leaking!
McLovin?
Yeah. Today is Thomas Cub's birthday, and this is Project X. Yo.